This podcast is sponsored by Intentional Living magazine, your ultimate guide created to help infuse purpose and passion into your everyday life. From expert features that provide valuable insights to thought-provoking content that sparks transformation. This magazine and online platform is a perfect source of inspiration for those who truly believe in the power of intentional choices. In this episode, we're talking about the Life Freedom Method, which is our clinically proven method that we put together that took me from being disabled to no longer disabled, and that we use in all of our services.
And it is a 12-week program, and we can work with different people from different walks of life. And we wanted to be able to explain what this method can do and the life-changing impact it has on people. And it's something that we're really passionate about. So enjoy this episode. Hiya.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm all right. Thanks. I'm really all right. No, I'm really good.
Well, what are we doing today?
We are here. We've been live already today, haven't we? But we're here at Liverpool Podcast Studios, and we're going to talk about the Life Freedom Method.
Okay. So can we just talk about the Life Freedom Method?
We can.
Trademark. So, okay, I would like to interview you for this podcast.
Okay.
So you're my guest.
Oh, thanks. Thanks very much. Have you got the chips on?
And I know that in episode 1, we've given a bit of a background into our lives.
Yep.
So if you haven't listened to episode 1, you can always go back to and listen to Jules' story, but we'll always have snippets of our life story in all of the episodes that we do. But we're so passionate, and I'm so passionate about Jules' journey and the creation of the Life Freedom Method, which is we're both the co-creators of, and the difference that that's making in the world and where we are up to with it. But would love to go back and ask you, what is the Life Freedom Method?
The Life Freedom Method is, so yeah, very briefly. So the Life Freedom Method was created to, once I got well from fibromyalgia to no longer having fibromyalgia, so from being disabled to no longer disabled. So it came from a point of holistic well-being and health. That's where it started off. And it basically, we put the program together, and it followed exactly the steps that I took, because I was really passionate when I got well that the system didn't support anything other than medicated response.
When you say the system, who
the
does
system,
that
so
include?
So when we are sick, we go to the doctors. Our society is very much geared to reactive medicine rather than proactively caring for ourselves.
Because it's the way we've been brought up, isn't it?
The way we've been brought up.
Also,
because society's evolving so fast, and there's so much stuff out there that's full of chemicals and lots of things. Chronic health affects every single household. Some sort of chronic health condition, bigger than any pandemic, bigger than anything. When we did that talk, every single person put their hand up. Does anyone know anyone, or is someone with one of these conditions? And we had a whole list of conditions behind us, and every hand in the place went up. So it was born from that. So the system being the medics, the diagnostic process, and the way in which we deal with it. So it wasn't until I was 10 years in to this condition that I was offered anything but opiates. And I was given 6 sessions of talking therapy.
And the condition that you had was fibromyalgia. Can you just, for any listeners, because a lot of people don't know what this is.
Okay, so fibromyalgia is a horrible, horrible condition, but it's a condition that it's an overall widespread pain condition. So it affects your whole body, different times, and you're just racked in pain, literally. And it presents at all different times. So one day you could wake up and your legs doesn't work, or you're in agony with your legs, and the next day it could be your shoulder. And this is why it takes so long to diagnose, because you literally go into the doctors and go, my leg hurts now.
Yeah.
You go like that. All right, let's take some anti-inflammatories and give you some medicine for that. Go back and go, oh, my shoulders hurt. What have we done there? Let's send you for an X. And we go through years and years and years of this. And actually, you are told when you diagnose, there's no cure.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's instilling the belief that...
So the belief is there's no cure.
So you're telling yourself...
How empowering is that? Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got well, I thought... Well, there's a way of living much better, but we just don't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I made it my mission to tell people. Mm-hmm. And it was like literally talking into an echo chamber of no one believes you because they've been told there's no cure.
You can't get better.
You can't get better. And it isn't an overnight fix. Don't get me wrong. It's not an overnight fix. But what the Life Freedom Method became was the process. And I created it as a program in its original form. And then I wrote a book about it called The Fading Woman, again, so that it could help people that were experiencing the same things go through that process that I did. Because if it could work for me, then why couldn't it work for everyone else? And then... And so when we started working together, the stuff that I had put into the original version of the method, what you brought to it supercharged it, and also the addition of belief coding. So, and I'll go through the different stages for you in a minute, but it's kind of supercharged and sped things up.
Yeah.
And my belief is that that fibromyalgia is as a consequence of trauma in the body. Mm-hmm. And again, trauma might sound horrific to people, but trauma doesn't have to be something cataclysmic as you might think. It could be something as small as being told off at school and not speaking. And the more work we do with the subconscious mind, the more we see people having just random things that are blocked in the body. And the way that we see trauma is almost like, we're going on to balls again. We talk about balls in every episode, almost like marbles or peas or like a ball of energy. And that ball of energy is there because it didn't receive what it needed to receive at the time that this, whatever it was, happened. And so when I started working with myself and I had all of the psychotherapy work, the more I drilled down into these balls of energy and learnt to dissipate them, the more the pain left my body. Now, for me, that in itself isn't enough. For me, you have to then look after your body, and there's practical stuff there as well. So there are steps. And whilst we've proven clinically that it works, and we've taken more people from being disabled to no longer disabled by following our process and guiding them through the process, but we apply it to actually every client that we use, whether it's leadership, whether it's leadership development, whether it's personal development, whether it's coaching, because what we do is holistic and it's our flagship method. It's also our toolkit.
Yeah.
So not everyone will need every bit of it, but we do the whole fact find bit as if it were.
Yeah.
And then we pull out the bits that we need.
Yeah, because it's about tailoring the process to what their needs are. So
because everyone's individual.
Yeah. And that goes to, I want to go back to the point around the Life Freedom Method about it's a process, and there's an umbrella of tools to use, but we use the tools that person needs to help them get from this to this in that 12 weeks. So whether it's from pain into purpose. Whether it's from developing from leaving your career to creating your own business, it's the same steps because it's the whole human being, and it's about working on the mindset, the subconscious, because the business piece is easy, or the practical bits are easy. It's working on the beliefs and the mindset first, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the deep
and some
trauma.
of the habits, well, say habits, but what do we call them instead? We call them rituals sometimes.
Yes.
The habits, but yeah, that the business element is, I mean, we've got 50 years between us. We can, the business strategy to us is easy. And to be fair, it's easy to most people unless they're just more, let me not even say that. There are different skill sets for different people. Yeah. There are different superpowers for different people. And we are all about tuning in to the individual rather than being treated as, I've got fibromyalgia and I'm plonked in with that lot, because your experience and their experience, other than the experience of pain, again, which is subjective, you've got, your lives are different.
So could you just explain then obviously it's a 12-week process. If you could just explain each part of the process so that anyone who's listening to this episode and has fibromyalgia or knows someone who is living in chronic pain, just quickly take us through the steps of what that looks like.
Any chronic condition. And even if you're just not
Feeling
not feeling great and you've not got the label of a condition, but things are starting to hurt and not necessarily work as well as they might. So the first thing we do is we chat, because holding space for someone in a safe environment is priceless, because some people literally don't open up to anyone. They don't have a sounding board, and you'll know, remember not long ago we spoke to someone and there was lots of tears, and it wasn't tears that she was sad, she was just relieved that she had someone to talk to. Yeah. So holding space for someone is the first thing. And again, creating that level of trust and understanding. So that's like the first bit. Understanding sort of lifestyle, understanding the habits, understand diet, understanding what they're using in and on their body, what's happening at home, what's happening in the workplace. So we've got a holistic understanding before we go in. And then we see where the main pain points are, whether that's physical or practical. They'll have pain points, and generally they're interlinked.
Give us an example of physical pain points and practical. What do you mean?
So, for example, someone might be really, so the other part of fibromyalgia is you also have like chronic fatigue syndrome. It's if you've ever experienced tired, it's beyond tired. It's like you are literally wading through treacle. That's the only way I can describe it. So that can happen. So for example, a mum may have had maybe wading through that treacle, yet one of her biggest problems is in her mind isn't getting over the chronic fatigue. It's making sure her kids have got the food that they need for school and they've got and not having the energy to do it. But what's on her mind is the practicalities.
I get you.
Are you with me? Yeah. So it's almost like, and that's just a small thing. It could be like loads more than that, but that's kind of thing. They'll think about what it's stopping them doing rather than fixing the actual reason.
Yes.
Because remember, they've been told there is no cure.
Yeah.
So we do that. And then we identify the bits that we can really make some quick wins on. So the first thing we do for the first 2 weeks is ask everybody to drink 2 litres of water a day. And we give them some bioavailable supplements so that we know that their cells are being nourished with the right nutrition. Because people that are living in chronic illness generally haven't got the energy to cook or eat properly. Some of them can't work, and it's easy to eat crap. It's cheap to eat crap. It's quite expensive.
And the crap is crap and chemical.
Exactly. So that's the first thing that we do. And then we give them a journal and ask them to journal how they're feeling, what they're doing, what challenges they've got, what's good, what's bad, and just ask them to do that for a couple of weeks. And then generally...
Can I just stop you there as well? Because I know people will be thinking, well, anyone can do that.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, is that it? It's so simple and it's so easy. However, people don't do it, do they? No. And it is going back to these really simple things, because I know that the people that were in the clinical trial, we'll have to get them on actually, won't we to speak to them about their experience. But they would, what were they drinking? What was in there? So give us an example
that's the next
of
piece.
That diet. Yeah.
So there's an education piece that's massive, because if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And because society, we just go for the quick fixes all the time. We want to be faster. We want to be slimmer. We want shortcuts in cooking. We want to do all of the things. We don't want to do the work, so we get convenience, and convenience comes with chemicals. So we give them access to online training for toxic load, which is massively important. That coupled with nutrition. So first and foremost, so Charmaine is more than happy for us to talk about her. When Charmaine came in for her first session, she came in with a can of Diet Pepsi, and I just giggled. And she said, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "That's the last one of those you'll be drinking in a while." And she went, "What do you mean?" So when I explained to her what some of the chemicals in there were doing to her body and how they were affecting her hormonal balance, and her hormonal balance was affecting her weight, it was affecting her mood, it was affecting all of the things. So she stopped. She's not had it since. And in the first couple of weeks, she lost about 8 pounds in weight. She went through a real period of detox because the amount of caffeine and stuff that's in there. So she wasn't getting the caffeine that she was getting. So there was that whole detox period. So whilst what you were saying then is dead easy to do, there is an element of...
It sounds easy, but people fall off, don't they? So that's why it's so important to...
And imagine then knowing that you can just quickly fall back and do that. And that happens every single time. We talked about it today. It happens every single time, whereas they're doing really, really well and then they fall back off the wagon. And because of the journaling and when I say fall back off the wagon, they start to think, oh, sorry, I'll just have this or I'll just do that. Again, conditioning, things like get to a Friday night and you go, oh my God, I've deserved that pint tonight, or I've deserved that bottle of wine tonight. The impact on your body, because your body is, all your body's trying to do is keep you safe and keep you well. And your body's striving for homeostasis and balance all the time. So everything we put in and on affects that balance. And your body's doing her best or his best to get back into balance. And you can imagine this flux going on. So you've got all this calm and you've got all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you put a litre of wine into it and your body's going, what the chuffing Nora's going on there? And so they feel shit again. And they go, oh, I feel shit. So I say, right, okay, let's be honest. What did you do this day? And then, I had that, right. Can you see then? And then they can literally see what has
see
impacted.
And feel, can't they?
Yeah, they can feel so that there's that. So we teach them about toxic load, teach them about the impact that certain chemicals have on the body, to be mindful, to become conscious consumers in what they're using in and on the body.
Can you give us an example, because I love this, an example of some of the everyday things that we have in our home that have got like chemicals in that we just wouldn't assume?
So we talk about this all the time, don't we? So if you think about wake up in the morning, so I'm going to ask anyone listening now, wake up in the morning and think about any chemicals that are around you. You might have plugins in your bedroom, you might have reed diffusers in your bedroom, you might have whatever you've got going on there. You go to your bathroom, you pick up your toothpaste, you jump in the shower, you've got your shower gel, you've got your shampoo, you've got your conditioner. You get out of the shower, you put your deodorant on. So we said this in the last episode, but we use more chemicals. A woman today uses more chemicals in one day than our great-grandmas used in their whole life. Wow. So it's no surprise to me that we've got chronic ill health because our body just doesn't work effectively because she's doing what she can with everything that's going on. So there's that education piece there. And then we come back together, we review every single week, we have ongoing dialogue throughout the time, and then we find out what's working and what's not. Invariably on the first meeting, there is pain. So depending on what the pain is or the challenges are, what we do is we find an alternative or a complementary support mechanism for that. So for example, with physical pain, we use something called Deep Blue, which is it's like deep heat but without petrol, and it's made up of all natural stuff, and we both use it. And our men use it, our kids use it, everyone uses it. And it's so I said, just take that, and then when you've got pain, you can put it on, actually topically on your skin. It's not going to harm you because it's all natural, so your body's going to be able to take it on, work with it, and then emit it naturally. And then over time, what happens is they have less need for the medication, the pain medication, because just this little stick of natural alternative is supporting them in a much better way. So then what starts to happen is they get clarity of mind. because again, it's another chemical less or another bunch of chemicals less in the body. And that's a controlled, and they don't have to do it, but they can choose to do it. And then so sleep is also a massive issue for people with fibromyalgia. And for me, I was taking Zopiclone, which was a big old sleeping tablet.
Yeah.
Which now, and there's news come out this week that the NHS are now not prescribing these opiates anymore.
What we'll do is we'll put the article from that on the notes of the show,
sure.
because that is great news. I mean, and I think it might be quite frightening for people who are in pain and they rely on these drugs. However, someone has recognised that there's something going on with these drugs and they need to be pulled back because they are
creating addiction, right? And the drugs. The drug market is like a bit like the stock market. So the more that they prescribe them, it's almost the values go up and down. And then what will happen is they'll look at how much we're spending on certain drugs and then go, well, we need to slow this down because it's costing us as a country so much money. And then they'll make these decisions. And there will be people now that are really panicking and distraught, and I appreciate that
because you've been there.
I've been there, but also because their mindset is, well,
I've got no other choice.
What choice do I have? And if they don't know, they don't know. And some people will listen to this and think, you're talking absolute biscuits, Jules. But I am testament that it works. We've got proof that this works, but there is a lot of mindset work.
Yeah.
So once we've done that continues the whole time. So it's almost like every week we introduce something else, and then we start working on the metaphysical, so the actual pain, and we look at what the metaphysical reason for that is. So generally that is life experience, events, and we start working with the subconscious mind. And that sounds really scary as well for some people, but actually it's the most liberating part. There may be tears and there may be some real unpacking of stuff, heavy stuff coming out. Shedding. But but
the lightness that comes with that.
What we do, so we're trauma informed. So what we don't want to do is re-traumatize.
Yeah.
But again, we're holding them in a safe space. They're safe. And what we're doing then is we're alchemizing. That sounds like a magic word. But so go back to the marbles or the balls that we talked about, the balls of energy that didn't have the support or the direction or the love that they needed at the time that happened. It's acknowledging that, changing the neural pathways, but also dissipating that. So you can't
get rid of
energy.
Change.
You just have to change it. So it's almost having that release, and then once that's released, that the magic in that is just insane, because these people have been in agony. These people have not been able to work. Mike's a serving police officer. He couldn't do his job because his hands didn't work. And so the neural pathway stuff, you keep working on that again, week on week. And then we do the radiators and drains piece. We find out what lights you up. And a lot of the time, there's very little that lights people up
because they're stuck
and because they can't see beyond how what is it that you say, energy flows where focus goes.
So you think what you focus on, you create more of.
So you go like, oh my God, my back's killing me, and that's
all you're focusing on.
That's what you're focusing on.
It's bringing in that pain even more.
So what about what's going on out here? And it's really hard, it's really, really hard. But what we create in this Life Freedom Method is a load of education, a load of support, a load of stuff to support you along the way, a load of empowerment, education, and then around about 7-8 weeks, you start to really see a massive shift, especially if the more work you put in, the better the results. And then it's almost like they can see a light then at the end of the tunnel. They're starting to be able to do things that they weren't able to do. They're starting to be able to experience life. So with Charmaine, I said, I really would love you to do some exercise. And she said, well, I can't get out of bed. So I said, okay. So the first week, her task was to take the bins out. That was her task. Yeah. And she did it. And so the week after, I said, how was it? She went, it was really hard. So I said, right, well, what I want you to do this week is I want you to take the bins out, but I want you to walk to the end of your road and come back. And she did it. And then a few weeks ago, she did like 10,000 steps in a day. She walked up a mountain with the family, which she would never have ever been able to do. And so we do this, we do the belief work, we do the releasing of the energy, the transmutation of stuff there. And then what happens is they think, right, well, what do I want from my life?
The purpose.
Because they haven't actually given themselves the time and space to do that. So it's almost like, right, well, what is your purpose? So we bring human design in quite early on, actually. I bring it in early on because I can see what's going on, but how they're designed. But then when you introduce it to them as well, the challenges that they may have. So understanding family dynamics, and we talk about this all the time, understanding family dynamics and the different designs in the house and why there's certain frictions. And again, these micro stresses, which can just go.
Yeah.
And what happens is when the person starts to feel well, their energy changes, which impacts the energy of the whole house. And all of a sudden they can see future. So the purpose piece is all right, like, let's dig into the purpose. And so for Mike and Charmaine, it was they want to share, obviously, their story and they want other people to benefit from that. So they wrote a book. And I suggested to them, why don't you write a book? We couldn't write a book. Yeah, you can write a book. So we worked with them to help them write the book, and then we published it for them. And then they became #1 bestsellers on Amazon, which was just like so beautiful, empowering for them, so that they can now take their story and go and speak about their experiences.
And so again, giving people hope as well. Giving other people hope and showing that we've done it, you can do it too. And hence why, rather than to keep repeating the story all the time, because that many people want to know, they've written the book so they can refer people to the book. And they've created their own group, haven't they? So that they can empower.
They've had to.
Yeah, because they will tell us about that.
Yeah, so, and I had the same experience. So when I wrote the Fading Woman, anytime you try in these groups, my experience is when you try and help someone, they think that you're trying to sell to them, and they don't really want to understand that there's alternative approaches. So when Mike and Charmaine reached out to like a lot of the fibromyalgia groups online, they've been banned, they've been blocked. And one of the leaders put in there to them, and I got a copy of the message that said, we all know that there's no cure for this, so you can stop peddling your book.
Yeah.
And so that's quite difficult.
Yeah.
But that's not going to stop us sharing the process, because it works.
And this is why I wanted to interview you on the process, so that people can listen and share this message, this podcast, because we've created that method. And
I've missed a bit.
It came from you. Go on.
I've missed a bit. So the other important bit is they all get the 14-day meditation course that you created, again, which helps them to be present, to carve out time for themselves in the day as well. And we give them access to yoga videos, which might sound bonkers because some people can't even bloody move, but actually just some of the postures will help with stretching. So there's all of that information. And we also teach them about aromatherapy and about the different elements within aromatherapy that support the body. And I think the other thing that's really, really important, so for the people that don't believe, every single bit of this process is science-backed.
Yeah. That's what I was I wanted to ask you about that. So this life reading method, that was your journey for you getting well, plus the added stuff from myself and with the belief coding from Jess and the human design, which we love, which we're going to do an episode on that. that whole process of 12 weeks was taken through a clinical trial, and that was done with Liverpool Uni and Walton Neuro. Yeah. So we have got a white paper that's available for people to download. We wanted to create that white paper was produced to show that whole journey of how someone has gone from being in pain, disabled, to now being classified as able-bodied and pain-free, out of pain. And obviously then we've got the book, and then we've got our message. And the thing with what we're doing now is that 12-week program, that doesn't just get used now with clients, what you said before, with pain. It's all about getting someone from where they are now, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, career pain, to where they want to be. It's a transformation process, and that's why it's called the Life Freedom Method.
Yeah.
Now, our challenge is, and we love a challenge, don't we, Jules?
Love a challenge.
Bloody love a challenge.
As long as it's not, oh no, we'll talk about that.
As long as it doesn't,
another episode.
If it doesn't light us up,
we're not doing it.
But this is our mission and our purpose, that we want, our motto is, menopause brain. One life, two choices.
One life, two choices.
One life, two choices. And we want people to know that they have choices, and the world is changing. People are now opening up to other ways of feeling better and living their life with purpose. And this is a scientifically backed method now. It's not woo. It's every single step of this process is scientifically backed, and we now want to get it out there to the mainstream to raise that level of awareness. So this method can be used in the NHS is our dream, isn't it? So that people who don't have the money to invest in this, then we can do it. But we want to do it in a way that it's regulated and delivered well to the standards that we deliver it to, and creating that space for people. And how do we get this out there even more? So tell us our audience the plans of what we want to do with this.
So the plans are that we want to help as many people living with chronic illness as possible. But it goes beyond that. It goes to educating our kids in schools, because it goes to really a preventative. For me, prevention's better than cure. But obviously there's, until you know, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you were was it 37, 40?
38,
right. So I was 47 when my came to my change. But if we start educating our kids again that certain things are not great for them and certain everyday things are not great for them, then they'll start to look after their body better
choices.
Yeah. But ultimately, what we have to do is to collate more data.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to I can't even speak. Collate more data, which we're doing with the help of Jess from the belief coding side of things. And once we've got that, then we're looking for, we've identified some academic bodies that are going to help us put that into a paper.
Yeah.
So, and we'll allow them to publish the paper for their university, but obviously cite our method within it.
Yeah.
And then once we've got that and we can demonstrate, the thing is, what they ask is, in randomized clinical trials, everybody has to have the same.
Yeah.
And the reason that doesn't work for us is because everybody isn't the same.
Yeah.
And everybody doesn't get the same thing. Because if you don't have problems sleeping, I'm not going to give you a remedy for sleep because you don't have problems sleeping.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah,
So it's about creating all that. It's a long road, but it's one we're on.
Mm-hmm.
And we are open to anybody out there that might be listening that's either a medic, that's got an interest in chronic pain, an interest in holistic or preventative medicine, and they want to talk about it, then come and see us.
Yeah, because we want to take this forward so that this is a choice for people across the globe.
Absolutely.
And I definitely know that there's people and smaller practitioners working in silos with maybe similar methods, but we know that this works. It's been proven. There are people now pain-free. Jules is one of them. So if you wanted to hear more about that, you feel free to join our Facebook group where we're always in there talking about it. We've obviously got this podcast, which is one of the messages that we wanted to get out there. And also the white paper and all of the free resources, again, are on our website at spaceandfreedom.com.
So just to add to that, the white paper basically documents the whole process. And it cites all of the clinical studies that have taken place for each element of the process. Not ours, but already. So all of the parts of the process that we've used have already been clinically proven. What wasn't clinically proven before was how them delivered all together works. And so we have to, until we've got more data, that's the next
why we need
piece.
the data.
So yeah, but you can download it. You've got access to it all. You're more than welcome to give it a whirl.
And you know what? Some people are like, oh my God, that's too much information. I think they just like to hear the stories, which is why we said to Mike and Charmaine, and you've got your book that tells you that practical journey, which is easier to read. And, but if you are a person that's really into the science and the chemistry, by all means, go for your life and download the white document. That's more for like the medical professions.
Do you know there's some spelling mistakes in it? Or whatever, Trevor. Like, seriously?
I know.
We're changing lives and I've not put a capital T in. Oh, bugger.
Yeah, we're okay with that because again, we are human beings.
80%.
Yeah, but we're human beings. It's absolutely fine. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And let's go and give people choices in the
smash
holistic world.
Blooming lovely.
Thank you for listening. It's love and light from me.
It's Sarah from me.
You think it's cheesy, don't you?
Yeah, cheese on toast.